August 1st is a pretty significant day in the child-free community, and if you have no idea why, stick around because you're about to find out. Today we have LeNora, Cody, and Jared on Wife Without Kids. Thank you guys so much for being here. They are the hard-working team behind the Childfree Convention. Most of your faces are going to be familiar to the child-free community, but there are always going to be some people who don't know who you are. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Cody Hetzel. For the Childfree Convention, I'm the head of the Speakers Bureau. So that means I put out the blast and got all of the requests for all the speaking engagements that we have. And then with the help of the team, we kind of went through and decided who would be speakers on what topics. And that's what I did. But outside of the Childfree Convention, I started a micro social network for the child-free community called Childfree Family, which, if you remember, it's kind of a throwback to what social media used to be like before it got really greedy and full of dirty algorithms. So it's like the most basic, awesome micro social network you can do. You get a profile, you can make friends. There's an awesome map that pops up where you can find child-free people that are near you, which is like one of the biggest questions and really the reason that I started it.
So I'm LeNora Faye. I'm a child-free lifestyle advocate. I look after PR for the Childfree Convention, also a co-founder. You may know me from the podcast and web series Child Free Girls, and I run Child Free blog on TikTok and Instagram.
My name is Jared. I do head of tech. I check their webcams and microphones to see if they're going to be good for our event. My previous history being a child-free leader is I have a Facebook group, Best Child-Free Life Possible. It's just been growing and growing. We talk about our favorite things we want to do, our hobbies, our passions, going for our goals, many things like that. I also have a child-free runners group as well. Possibly running for a cause, the child-free 5K and 10K, which was just a few weeks ago, where you can wear your shirt while you're running. Try to bring some awareness is my goal to the world. So that's besides the great child-free convention, that's been a dream come true for me.
So some people are going to have absolutely no clue what a child-free convention is because it started last year. So it's a bit of a baby. What exactly is the child-free convention and when does it happen?
Well, it happens this year on July 30th and 31st, 2022. For those that are in the future, you might have missed it, but there will be archived videos available for replay. It began last year when I was, on Facebook, and in Jared's group, I was asking him if I could answer some of the questions that people were asking about where can I find child-free people, because Child-Free Family has the map. So, hey, can I promote my website in your group or whatever? And he was nice enough to say yes, that I could, to answer those questions. And then we just kind of started the dialogue. And one day he just shot me a message and says, hey, I want to start a child-free convention or something online, something virtual to have speakers come out and talk. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. So it was just me and Jared to begin with, and we were kind of fumbling through and figuring things out. And somehow we roped LeNora in. I believe Jared asked her to do some graphic designing, and that's all it took. We wouldn't let her go after that. So that's how last year got up and running. And it was, I feel like it was a rolling success. It did really well. It was really well received. We had awesome speakers, really some great topics. And to me, the key point to take away is that it's 100% volunteer driven. So everybody involved, us, the speakers, we're all doing this just because we believe in the child-free community. We want to provide great content, positive content, and awesome dialogue. And so, yeah, this year we're looking to have a lot of fun.
So to answer the question, what is a child-free convention? Because I know that question was asked. We started with one day, we've expanded to two, but again, it's a public platform where people can share their child-free experiences. This is it's not behind any kind of paywall. It's not behind any kind of community. So this is available for public consumption. The idea, individually, the three of us do what we do to bring awareness to choice, and we do what we do to foster community, to add to the community. We're not necessarily building a community, we're building something for the child-free community. So wherever you are in the world, you can stream the convention, you can hear speakers from all different lifestyles, different backgrounds, different cultures, which is very important because, a lot of child-free spaces are kind of specific to one demographic. And so this is literally a global platform that people can use or people can view and interact with to highlight and celebrate, because we do focus on celebrating our choice. It's also, a place for people to kind of expand their awareness, to feel seen, feel heard, feel respected, whether they're a speaker or they're in the audience. So, again, global platform where we can celebrate our choice to not have children and learn some things, because it's not just an echo chamber. We're actually providing value where people can learn from different people's experiences as well, because at the end of the day, it's not about facts and figures. It's about personal experience. Yeah. And how did one person go through something or make a stand, make a choice, or just even celebrate it, because some people feel guilty, right, for not having kids. So yeah. it encompasses many things.
I'm so glad that you guys are taking the time again this year to put this together, because it is so needed in the child-free community. And there are so many topics. And I was actually looking through some of the topics, and you guys have some really fantastic stuff that you've added on to from last year, which you already had great topics last year. But then I was looking through some of the stuff this year, and I'm like, man, how did you guys come up with all those topics? Like, do you get a lot of people approaching you and saying, hey, we want to be part of this, and here's what I want to talk about? Or how did the three of you brainstorm your ideas?
Last year we had a different approach, because that was our first time, and it was just, all right, let's see who we got. The speakers came first, and we kind of tackled the topics from there. We did really want to start out basic, because it's in your first year, your first few years, you want to set the stage, if you will. We're tackling hard topics, but you want to start at the beginning, because you're also reaching people who are new to the concept of child free. So this year, we looked at what worked, and we got, it's not so much that we get a lot of feedback. There were certain topics that people definitely did request, but again, we were looking to expand. So we're like, what do we want to talk about? Like what's out there? Because we're all involved in child-free conversations online in different ways. Mm-hmm. So we are aware of what people are talking about and also what's missing. And that's part of the keys. It takes a bit of research, because you want to look at what other people are talking about and what's missing from the conversation, and how can we, like estate planning, for example, that's not like a huge topic that people are talking about. Cody does run a great group that does address that, but it's, again, private. So how do we bring that kind of topic specifically? That's actually very important. It's a very huge, important adult thing to do, regardless if you have kids or not, right? But people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, you guys have a lot of diversity in your topics this year, which I think is really exciting, because like you said, you start at the base and then you start adding on some stuff. And yes, LeNora, I totally agree with you. People don't want to talk about money ever, ever, ever. But yet people always assume things about child-free people, that we have a lot of it, right? So we got to get some kind of conversation started, and maybe squash some of the assumptions, and then attack some of the stuff that people are afraid to talk about, because maybe you didn't even realize that you needed to address that thing in your own life.
Yeah. Well, that's the exciting thing, honestly, is that the child-free community is diverse in what we do in our professions, right? And why not use that? Because people, we gather in groups and we talk about our dreams and our goals and whatnot, but there's a lot of knowledge, and it doesn't matter really what you do or where you live or what age you are. You're living a child-free life. There is actually something that you can bring to the table. And part of what we are doing with Childfree Convention is like, it doesn't matter if you're a known author. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have any social media presence whatsoever. You're living a child-free life. There are certain talents and abilities and things that you've accomplished that actually would really fit with, maybe a topic that we've put out there, ask for speakers. It's just, some people don't feel like they have something to offer, but your own life experience on a topic, and maybe you are a financial planner and you don't talk about it, but you actually are very well versed in a subject we need. Like, it's exciting to find these people, because a lot of speakers you probably have never heard of before.
It's a lot of unknowns, which is really at the core of what we do. We want to bring new people to the forefront that have thoughts, ideas that you may not have heard from, or just from a different vantage point. So it was a fun way to kind of shift things up for this year's convention, and we're looking forward to it.
We don't pick celebrities to do this.
I mean,
we pick,
we won't
we
turn
can
you
pick
down necessarily either. If
We
anyone wants
won't,
to
we
apply.
exactly, we won't turn them down.
average ordinary people is, people from all walks of life and around the world is what we were aiming for. You don't have to be rich and famous and a celebrity. This decision is something that no matter, every human has to deal with this choice. So they got to make a choice at some point in their life. And so that's why this is such a big event, and in my eyes, and we're trying to make it bigger each year. Sometimes, I pitch something and it gets denied by these two, but I respect their decision. And there's some things that might be for the future, but we communicate quite a bit. We do weekly meetings, so that's how it is. Yep.
Did you guys have any difficulty finding speakers for certain topics that you wanted to present?
We thought we would, but fortunately, we didn't have to scrap any topics. So I don't think we did. We had some that we
adjusted a couple, but
we held a few back for next year because we're like, okay, we're already at like 24 topics over 2 days. Like we have to put the brakes on somewhere.
Yeah.
But we do have some great ideas for more topics. So
yeah,
for the future,
the first year was actually much easier than I thought. I thought finding speakers was going to be the hard part, and it actually was like one of the easiest parts of it, which was great to see them respond by filling out the application on the childfreeconvention.com website. So,
and there are times when people submit, an application and it actually sparks an idea for a panel. And of course that happened a lot last year. This year we decided to lead with the topics first and then put out speakers for that. And hopefully, even if somebody held back on applying, hopefully they see what we're asking for. And even if it's not the same topic for next year, it's just knowing that, oh, I could actually add to that. It's interesting getting the applications, and sometimes there's been a couple times where we're like, can you actually talk on this topic? Because we think it'd be a really good fit.
We do have some probing questions on the application, and we're like, we think you'd actually be really good for this topic. Would you be open to switching? And they're like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And like LeNora was saying too, and Jared, we have people that apply that have tens of thousands of followers on different social medias. We have some people that don't even have Facebook. So it literally complete unknowns, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, because I back in the day, I thought I was alone and I didn't know there was a community until I searched Facebook. I thought I was by myself, basically. Last year we had Oscar from Africa, and I was teared up by her halftime video because there's someone out there that's trying to find people in a desolate area, and he came about our Childfree Convention, and now he's engaging with us quite a bit, and that's what I want to see everybody come together, from around the world,
And now we have 2 speakers on our Childfree Africa panel. So, and actually both women are known in their communities. I think they're both from Kenya. And they're media personalities, actually. So, I mean, we do have some rich, famous people on our panel. So, it's just, you never know who you're gonna reach. And that's the point, as content creators, I think we all know, it's surprising who you get connected to, right?
We all have built little communities, right? We'll start it off with just maybe us and 1 or 2 other people, and it's grown since then. But it's so sad to think that there are still people out there that have no community, that think they're completely alone. And so when they hear about a convention like this, and they can come and they can see ordinary people like themselves that are, taking the time to share their stories. And I think that's so encouraging to people, because it makes them say, hey, I actually maybe do have something that I could share. And so I love that you guys include all sorts of people, all sorts of diversity.
The word child free doesn't exist all over the world. It depends on the language. And so for a lot of people, they literally have no clue that something like this even exists, because they don't know the term child free. And I know there's debate even within our own community what child free means, which is why it's a topic. But that aside, it's great to try to create this kind of content that hopefully leads to more content, and then we can bring more people kind of into the fold of understanding of what child free is.
This is one thing that's really opened my eyes, being on social media. you know, I mean, I might have some complaints about being child free in Canada and people say this and that to me, but overall, it is still accepted, right? But there are other parts of the world, and I hear from people, and it is like, it is really taboo to be child free. Like, you are given such grief and such a hard time. Some people are on the verge of being disowned for being child free. And I just have such a heart for people like that, because you think, what can I do to help them? What can I do to make them feel accepted? And having this type of convention, it brings so many people together where you're going to be able to find someone that's gone through the thing you've gone through. And that is so needed in this community.
You know, and while we do want to highlight and celebrate our choice, it is also good to again, bring awareness that people do struggle with the decision.
Yeah.
You know, culturally is one example, because you've probably noticed this in, you know, in your content or some comments going, why are you talking about this? And those comments come from child-free people who don't want to have kids, don't think we need to talk about it. They don't think there's a need for the conversation. And that's a bit dangerous thinking, because it silences somebody. It silences somebody who's not necessarily strong enough to start. They want to start. They want to voice their choice. They want to voice their experience, but they see a comment like that and immediately back off. Yeah. So, you know, being able to listen, like create this platform, listen to people as they share some of their struggles, you know, some of the challenges of living in an area where child-free is not accepted or valued, you know, that adds, I don't want to say validity, because I don't like using that term when it comes to, you know, making something valid for doing a reason. Anyway, whatever. It's just, it's important, because to people who don't see a need, maybe someone somewhere will go, oh, there is actually an issue. Just because you're not dealing with any pushback does not mean the rest of us aren't, you know? Right. So it's good to offer, again, a broader point of view as to why we're creating this, and why are people wanting to speak out. There's a reason for it. If there really wasn't an issue, none of us would be doing anything. We wouldn't be doing this, right? Know, seriously. We'd just be hanging out chatting, but we wouldn't be talking about being child-free.
If you went to an event or a party and someone's like, oh, do you have kids? And you're like, no. And that was it, then yeah, we wouldn't need to exist.
Oh, God. How nice would that be? How nice.
Yeah. I think it does a lot for giving people confidence, right? Where people are kind of like, oh, I'm maybe on the fence, or I'm getting a lot of pushback from family or my religion or whatever the case is. And then to be able to see and hear other people talk about their experiences, it helps them be like, okay, well, maybe I'll just tell one person.
Yeah, everybody has a choice, and there's many reasons for it. You know, I, like myself, it's like, you know, the financial part of it, environmental. I believe that there's overpopulation in the world. Everybody has a reason, and there might be multiple reasons added. So this event brings everybody together, and we can discuss our reasoning why we're child-free.
We have a pro-choice activist from Japan who's going to be one of our speakers. And Cody had brought this up during one of our meetings, like we were, you know, looking at questions to ask someone on the regional panels, what's it like, because our perception of a certain country that maybe, you know, the choice is fine, there's no problems, but reading the bio that this you know, the speaker sent, and what they're advocating for, you realize that they don't have a lot of choices, you know, and it's surprising what choice is actually lacking in parts of the world. You know, we're here in North America, the guys are in the US, I'm also in Canada. We're all pretty fortunate. I mean, granted, depending on what state you're in, but actually, when it comes to choice, do people have choice? Like, really, in certain parts of the world, like, we're openly child-free. Yes, we get trolls on occasion, but largely, like you said about yourself, Hannah, like we're fine. Yeah. But there are places where it isn't. And so even just for our knowledge and understanding that choice isn't necessary, like, choice doesn't exist everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I mean,
exactly
as a human being, yes, you can choose, but human rights aren't equal everywhere. They're not acknowledged everywhere. Right. So that's also something to consider.
Being able just to connect with people. One of the reasons we wanted to do this live and not like a, you know, recorded and put out later, is for that interaction where people can join in the comments, ask questions right then and there to us, to the speakers, engage in conversation. When we went back and looked at the chat from last year, like, they were having a ball just with themselves, like they were just chatting it up. And it was just a great way to see the community connect, even outside of what we were doing. But just to add that little bit of extra to where there's true human engagement there. We really want to get everyone involved with it. If you have a question about one of the topics or a speaker, you have the ability to ask it.
That live chat was so fun. I think the three of us did not expect that at all. We knew that people were going to show up because, you know, we're like, all right, we're doing this live chat, but to see, it was like 9 hours straight. It was so fun. It was so it was a good time.
Engagement is the number one goal, you know, and that's at least one of the goals of this convention, is everybody coming from everywhere to engage with one another and maybe open their eyes to some sort of, you know, thing that comes up, you know, in discussion. So that's what I feel.
And one thing that's really cool too is that it was like last year, it was such a respectful conversation. The thing is with it, because we all have different experiences, the child-free community doesn't gather to like agree on everything, because how boring would that be? Like everyone has different points of view and different thoughts on different subjects. And so it was really heartening to see the interactions, like people had questions, comments, they were varying, but it was civil. And I think because again, none of this is behind any sort of wall. Anybody can watch this. Yeah. So anyone that's beyond the child-free community can watch this. And we encourage that because there are certain platforms that have that kind of spin child-free or shed a kind of negative light on the child-free community in a way that non-child-free people look at and go, oh, okay, these child-free people. So it's, it was really cool to see that child-free people can gather. It has nothing to do with any derogatory attitudes towards parents or children. It's about celebrating our choice, acknowledging our choice, talking about the challenges that come up with being child-free, and also celebrating. And it can be done in a way that's respectful. It's honest, authentic, and respectful. So that was really cool to see, because it's, when you're going live, you don't know, right? No. We have Troll Patrol, we have Troll Patrol on standby. So, you just don't know, but it was really cool.
There's kind of that like darker negative side of child-free, and I'm not going there. I don't want to have any part of that. And so I love that you guys have that same vision of keeping things positive and no judgment towards other people that are doing the other things. But this is a space where we're going to come and talk, and it's going to be good vibes, right?
Yeah.
And it draws a good crowd. It also draws a good speaker, because again, we're not here to censor people. We want people to share how they feel. We also are mindful that there are eyeballs beyond the child-free community watching this, and we really do encourage that. We want people who aren't child-free to pay attention, because we can gather together all we want, but until it's acknowledged that child-free it's an actual lifestyle choice. It's not second tier. It's not a backup plan. It's how we live. It's what we feel is right for us, and seen as such, that's important, because in the grand scheme of things, the long term, it'll probably require less conventions to happen. If we're successful enough, where it's like mainstream and like, oh, you're child-free, great, we can go to those parties where no one's saying a thing, then we can retire, great, cool, on to the next project.
Fingers crossed.
We are millions. There are millions of us. Like we're just in the shadows. People are silent due to reasons that they feel like they can't speak about their lifestyle choice because they don't want to have kids, and they worry about the backlash from whatever their family circle, religious circle, their community circle, whatever it might be. And so just to give that little bit of a voice out there and to give people an opportunity to join that dialogue is really something special.
This is it's positive, encouraging, and we're not going to be the people that are angry at parents or anything like that. That's completely not us. And we're trying to make this thing as big as possible, and we don't care if anybody else wants to watch it, as long as they're respectful towards the speakers and the people watching it.
Well, we do care, because we are making it as big as possible. We want but you know what though, we do want people who disagree.
Yeah,
it's okay if people disagree. It's okay. Like, again, with the commenting, and this is gets into tricky waters, especially you have to develop a thick skin, as you know, dealing with comments. But Cody always like, well, what's the flip side? Like I presented an idea for a panel. He's like, okay, so where's the other side of the conversation? Yeah. We actually do welcome those that disagree. They're allowed to comment in chat. I mean, there will be guidelines, of course, but because here's the thing, when people are speaking out, the first thing they say, if they're lashing out, it's not about you, right? I think we know that. It's not about us. They have something to say and it's coming out very ineloquently, but they're trying to express themselves. And so actually, when you have a conversation with people, you get to the root of why they're saying what they're saying. Yeah. So the initial the initial attack is actually it's not an attack on you. They're trying to process whatever they're processing. And I mean, it's really hard to convey that in like 2 seconds on social media, but that's really what's happening. Mm-hmm. I think we do have a few therapists who will be in our audience that actually we should put on Troll Patrol so they can walk through this negativity, because it's not that people have to, we don't need everyone to agree with our choice or what we're doing. Again, yes, like Jared said, it comes down to being respectful, but also too, we want to showcase that people do disagree. How you handle it is also telling, and it's also a good eye opener for other child-free people who don't know how to handle those comments. So you can use that negativity and work with it to actually further your message. It's just how you handle it.
Yeah.
How you handle it, it's really important and says a lot, right? And it takes practice too.
I used to have a YouTube channel, so I used to have bad comments on my YouTube channel quite a bit. So I'm pretty used to it. I run a Facebook group, so I've kicked out plenty of people before, so it's not like I can't do it again, I guess.
People on YouTube leave bad comments.
Oh, that's normal. Yeah.
It's called sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah, but I hope I don't want us to kick out people, like unless it's absolutely vile, absolutely.
It has to be like pretty vulgar and violent.
Yeah, but we're not going to kick out negative comments, because like I said, you learn how to use that to your advantage. Negative comments are what scare people from becoming content creators as well. Yeah. When you show them how you can handle it, it changes the playing field. And then you no longer worry what's going to happen if someone says something bad. Who cares? Leave it up there. Let people comment.
I'm actually really curious to know individually, what part of the convention are you looking forward to the most as a creator, as someone who's behind the scenes doing the stuff?
Are we allowed to say?
Let me think about that. So, I mean, I hope we have great engagement with the audience. I hope they get, some great comments out there and questions that we're able to engage with, because like I said, that's kind of the whole reason that we're doing it live. We could just do a static recording, put it out there you go, but that live aspect just adds that little extra something to it. And so I'm looking forward to having some awesome questions coming in. With Jared will like pop up, it's like incoming question, and then it pops up and we're all looking at it right then and there, like we have no idea what it's going to say. So it's kind of fun to watch our reaction and the speaker's reaction, then we all, okay, let's answer this.
I guess for me, the engagements, how many people will be watching this from different parts of the world. I'm a fan of traveling around the world. So seeing people from, Australia or Japan or Africa, that excites me always. So when you get, because YouTube has become a global streaming platform, and I love it. And for it to be worldwide, that always excites me.
My honest answer is for it to all be over, because and bear with me here, because it's our baby, it's my baby, whatever, like we started working on this last September, after a month after the other conference last year. And so I enjoy the process. Like this year we have a team to help us. So I'm PR manager. So I have a team of people. It's just, there's a lot of behind the scenes visual graphic work and such, and meetings. So I'm always a bit nervous just before we start. It's always fun doing the thing. And now we're doing 2 days of it's 2 full days. So for me, my favorite part is when it's over and I see how it all, I love to reflect back. I don't like to live in the past, but I like to see how it all turned out, because I go, okay, what can we improve on? What worked? What was the reaction? And to be honest, I won't relax until our second day live stream is ended and I can go, we pulled it off again. So Cody and I are moderating. So It's me learning how to moderate live conversations on screen, interacting, feeling natural, feeling comfortable, sweating profusely under the wig, you know, and just like like for me, it's fun. There's like this whole, like my office here is vibrating because I'm so excited about it. But there's so much. And then at the end, it's like, we pulled it off. Like that for me is the best feeling. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is it all being over. And then we start the next year. I always think of it, you know, pretend you're getting paid $10 million to do something and put that energy into it.
Yeah.
Because it's been well received, because we didn't half-ass anything. And I fully believe in it. And while it looks like it's a lot of work, and it looks like, well, why are you doing all that? Because it's volunteer. It's so worth it, you know? Not to pull the whole parenting thing, but it's totally worth it.
It's a passion project or something like that. It's something that, you know, I'm good with spending my time with, you know, and I feel like it's the validation and making it bigger and bigger each year and have it spread. Hopefully it spreads around everywhere around the world. And that gives me happiness.
I'd be excited to see how it ages over time. Like, you know, in 30 years, if YouTube or whatever even exists, and they're like, listen, what do these old ancient people talk with Childfree? It's like, what is, like, they're just people. Like they're just, hopefully that's what it is, but we'll see how it ages. That'll be real interesting.
That's a cool thought. Yeah. And even, you know, because we generally rotate speakers, but we have some returning, but you know, just to see, like any project, how does it evolve over time? And then, you know, one day we'll have a big soiree in Vegas. It won't just be there'll always have to be a virtual component, I think, because it's global already. Like we're already an international event. It was international last year, it's international this year. This year has been interesting because we do have a team now. So you know, well, we meaning me. So like I think we've got 10 people helping with PR and tech on the side. So it's
which is needed. I mean, that kind of adds to the validity of what we've done. People see, oh, this is a real thing. These guys aren't just goofing around and, you know, in the basement. Like it's a real thing, and they want to be a part of it. And that's exciting. Like it's amazing to see that kind of enthusiasm coming back to us with what we're putting out there.
Yeah. People want to be a part of it, because not everyone wants to be a speaker, or they're not ready to be a speaker, and not everyone wants to create their own platform, but they do want to be a part of the conversation and want to contribute. So it has been very lovely. Like we got a lot of applications from all over the place for volunteers. We put out the volunteer call for volunteers for different things. Like we've got graphic designers, we have design consultant, we have copywriters, we have a business liaison, we have event planner. So it's fun. You know, I had to put my manager hat back on because it's been about 5 years since I was the last office manager. So now I'm back in that role, because, you know, you send out the tasks, people send it back, and it's good. Like it fits the vibe.
And just seeing how it evolves over time. Like if you imagine this in 2019, we all would have been like, nobody's gonna sit in front of a camera and talk to a bunch of squares with people in them. Then 2020 happens, and it's kind of like the accepted thing. So now, it's virtual. It's, you know, it's successful. People, you know, watch the replays, and we got the applications to join this year's. And so, going forward, I mean, who knows? There are always whispers of if we do like an in-person or something like that. You know, but for now, it's virtual. It's free. Like that's the biggest thing. We always want it to be free, because we don't want to basically have these amazing conversations and not give that to the world. You know, whether you're child free or not. Like you might be a parent and you're like, one of my friends says their child, what is that? Or it might be a parent themselves saying, my son or daughter, my kid doesn't want to have a child. I'm not going to be a grandparent. I'm so confused. What is this? And maybe they can watch a video on that and learn kind of why we think what we think and do what we do. And so that the long-term reach of this, I think, is going to be really positive.
I love that people want to be involved, because you're right. Like not everyone wants to be a speaker, but there are people who have like talents and who know all sorts of things about all the stuff that, you know, I know nothing about, or that some of you guys know nothing about. And to have those people want to jump on and be part, because it's not just like 3 people doing all the work now. Right now it's like spread out, and then you can make it bigger and better. And some of those visions that you had for making it a certain way, you actually are now actually a reality. There is obviously a need for this type of event to happen.
And last year we had a Childfree collaboration panel. And, you know, the message behind that is don't be afraid to work with other people. you know, and Cody says this all the time, like, you know, we're islands. Like, how do you say it? Because you say it really well.
Well, people, they become very possessive of their ideas, and they become an island, but not just an island. It's an island with a wall. Like, they don't want this is my thing. I don't want anyone. I love collaborating. Like, the more hands make the work easier. So, you know, let's work on this together.
Yeah.
You might be working on, you know, Wife Without Kids doing this, and we're working on something. It's like, well, is there something we might be able to collaborate on and bring audiences together? And people might find out about you. People find out about us. Like, it's just a great way to kind of spread the wealth of knowledge around, and just not to be so individualistic and so possessive over, you know, what you're creating at the time, because there's a bigger purpose for it. And yeah, it's just really cool to work with other people.
Just saying, like, don't be afraid to collaborate. And we hope that this, you know, even just us sharing our kind of behind the scenes experience, but people seeing the end result, which is the actual convention, we hope that it does inspire more child-free content creators to collaborate with each other, and that it's not to be afraid of, because we all benefit.
Yeah.
You know, really, it may look like competition, but it's not. You know, we do all benefit.
When I first started the idea of this, in my head, I was like, I have to get some help. There's no way this is going to go through by myself. And so that's why I went to Cody. I seen his previous history with helping the child-free awareness cause, and I thought he was a great fit. I'm glad he was accepting of wanting to help me, because by myself, this would have never become a reality without the help of him and LeNora. So, and I will always be thankful for both of them for making this come to reality.
I was just agreeing to do the logo.
Yeah.
So like that, I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time. I was just going to do the logo. But then I saw that nobody else was stepping up, and I'm like, I should meet with these guys, because it's a great idea. But there was a small group, but no one was actually doing anything. Like, I'm an action person. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to freaking do it, and you'll see the result. Like, that's how I operate. So I was like, nobody's doing anything. So I took pity and met with the guys.
Well, it shows that the evolution of it as well. Like we've been talking about, to have people that want to volunteer, to speakers that want to speak. Yeah, when it was just me and Jared, like, who are these dudes that are wanting to put this? What is it? What you want to do? Who? What? And so yeah, luckily when we got LeNora, and it became, you know, the three of us, and she is of course more well known than we are, so it gave a little bit more validity to what we were doing. And then yeah, like we just kind of started piecing it together, and we had a vision. And it all worked out in the end. That's all I kept saying. I'm like, guys, it's gonna be good. Like, don't worry, we got this.
It's fun to see the process and how you can evolve things, because, you know, this year we'll learn what worked and what needs improving on, and, you know, take it from there. But to me, that's exciting, because it's never going to be the same. How we do things is never going to be the same. It's constant growth.
It's literally 365. Even though it says Childfree Convention and it's boom for a couple of days, it's all year long. We're trying to put out information and answer people's questions, and engage new speakers and new people that are, you know, just entering into the child-free lifestyle.
We're doing monthly live streams now, so, and that's been an ongoing thing this year. It seems like so.
I am absolutely looking forward to it. Thank you for all of your hard work on behalf of the child-free community, because you guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Hannah. Thank you.